Hi guys, how's it going? Welcome back to my channel. And yes, for all my new subscribers, I am Natalia Suri and this is my channel. And today I'll be in conversation with Anuj Elvis. Now, he's not a writer. Then who is he? He is a voodoo practitioner. The question of voodoo has always intrigued us. When we say voodoo, the first thing that comes to our mind is a doll stuffed in those pins and needles inside and some black magic going on. Now, is voodoo black magic or is it something different? Can voodoo affect us? And if it can affect us, in which ways? These are loads and loads of questions which Anuj Elvis will be answering in today's conversation. So come, let us talk to him and find out what is voodoo. Hi, sir. Thank you so much for joining. It's really a pleasure talking to you.
It's a pleasure. Pleasure is mine. Yeah. Thank you very much for having me.
Sir, you do voodoo. Now, what is voodoo exactly?
See, people have to understand that voodoo really is not really a practice. The common culture that we have in India is that people pick up things from books and teachers and whatever they've learned and everything, and they start practicing their own practice. They devise their own methods and stuff like that. Voodoo really is not. It's not a practice. It's a religion, and do you have to change your own religion to practice voodoo? If you want to, you have that freedom, but then people have to understand that voodoo has its uh, you know uh, roots in Christianity, and that's how it grew. So when it started in Haiti and people were practicing voodoo, that's when the Christian missionaries came in, and to hide it from them, they changed their loas and the spirits into the Christian saints, and that's how we see it now. And then when the voodoo traveled through the slaves to New Orleans, Salem, and that area, that's when the entire picture changed, and New Orleans voodoo, or Louisiana voodoo as we call it, came into the being. So that's another tangent altogether. There is a huge difference between Haitian voodoo, and there is a huge difference, I mean, between Haitian voodoo and New Orleans or Louisiana voodoo. Louisiana voodoo is more of practical, more of it has a lot of fluidity to it. You can pick and choose and stuff like that. And then, I mean, within the Louisiana voodoo also, you have a lot of distributaries or tributaries, so to say. But those are the two main voodoos that people should really know about.
Is voodoo black magic? Like we have heard voodoo dolls, voodoo. So is it only black magic? And to what degree can it cause a person's death also? What is it?
Yeah, I know this was coming. Everybody keeps wondering. That's what the movies has sort of fed it into our lives, that I stick a pin here in a doll and then somebody somewhere loses a hand or stuff like that. It doesn't work like that. It does not work like that. I have always said, and I've always maintained that magic is magic, and magic has no color. It's the intention of the practitioner that gives it color. So if you want to practice it for the good of people, you do it. If you want to practice for the bad of people, you go ahead and do it. That's your own calling. But we have to draw the line somewhere. There is karma. You are answerable to higher powers. You can't just really go about doing, or if this was true, then we would have had a different world altogether. If I could just sit here and stick let's say pins in your doll and make you do stuff on the camera, that would have been great, isn't it? But it's not there. It's not possible. It's all the movies that has fed it to us. The concept of a voodoo doll is really deep rooted in voodoo, and people have to understand that why do we use dolls. So let's say, for example, let's talk about Reiki. When a Reiki practitioner is practicing Reiki or trying to give Reiki to heal a particular person, they would either draw out a shadow self for that person, or they'll give Reiki to the person's or the individual's photograph if that person is not present in front of them. Similar is the case with voodoo. If the person is not in front of a voodoo practitioner, they would make a doll in their liking, stuff the doll with their belongings, for example their hair or cloth or handkerchief or a button from their shirt or things like that, and they stuff it with it and they give healing to it. And if they're trying to open their heart chakra to bring in love, they do the process accordingly. So it's like that. It is not as magical as it is painted by the movies.
So basically, you are saying is that voodoo is not black magic.
There is no black magic in voodoo. It's a religion. How can a religion have a concept of black magic? What is black magic? You know.
No, because all the movies show voodoo as something in a very negative term, with, as you said, the dolls and something with the skull and all that. So they have portrayed that it is something which will harm. So according to it even gives good.
It's sad, isn't it? That's what the movies have told us, and subconsciously we've believed that voodoo is bad, but it's not. There is nothing like black magic in voodoo at all. I mean, why would you want to harm a person? If somebody comes to me and tells me that, can you do something and try and do something to this person because this person has done something to me, and I would turn around and ask question that why? I mean, why can't you empower yourself and move on? Why would you want to go out there and harm somebody's life? Also, people have to understand that all practitioners in this world, everybody in India, everybody abroad, wherever you are, practitioners are not God. We cannot make भगवान थोड़ा ज्यादा सुनता है हमारी as compared to other people. Otherwise, people like me would not have been in the picture at all. But then you have to understand that we are not gods. We cannot bend the wills of the god. I mean, we can try and push them a little more than you guys, but we cannot really bend. They are gods. They are spirits. They will do whatever they want to.
How are spirits associated with voodoo, sir?
Voodoo has a lot of ancestral worship in it. So we work with, जैसे हमारे हिंदू समाज में पितृपक्ष होता है, similarly in voodoo we have a lot of ancestral worship. So we have huge ancestral altars that we set up for people. In the Hindu pantheon, you would do an ancestral puja for a set period of time. If you do it all along the year, it turns into voodoo. That's voodoo for you. Because when we say spirit work, these are the gods and goddesses that we work with. We call them spirits because they originally are from Haiti. But then when you turn that into Louisiana voodoo or New Orleans voodoo, you are working with a lot of you do a lot of conjure work and root work, so which basically means that you are working with a lot of saints, you're working with a lot of angels. So when you call them to help you assist in a lot of things, then that's what you get.
So a little more clarity over here. You say that you call in a lot of spirits. Now these spirits are, suppose I come to you and I ask you that can you do your magic with the voodoo? So you are going to call spirits and ghosts which are associated with me, or these are spirits and ghosts which are associated with voodoo? And what are these spirits and ghosts? Like we have saints who like in Christianity the saints die and then you can call their spirits. What exactly are you calling?
Exactly, the answer lies in the question itself. So let's say, for example, I'm working with a particular saint, and when I conjure the saint. When I conjure the saint, I mean I set up its altar, I put the appropriate things, I say the appropriate prayers, and I request the saint spirit to come and assist me in whatever I need for you or whoever that I'm petitioning the saint for. That is what is calling it's called conjuring a spirit. So it's not that I'm going to call ghosts and ghouls and all those things. It doesn't work like that. That's movies that has fed it into our head. It doesn't work like that.
Okay, and so these spells which you put on a person, for example, somebody has got a marital problem, or somebody's got a financial problem, or health problem. Out of these three, one problem every person generally has. So, how do you work it out? I mean, can you give an example to make it more clear? Like, as you said, you set up an altar and then you cast some spells. And does it work during the day, or it is only a practice for the night?
Yeah, that is a question that is asked often. Whether you practice in the day or time, or whether you practice in night time. I will practice wherever I feel comfortable. If I'm so, it's not that the spirits have a timetable that you're going to call me early in the morning, or you're going to call me early, late at night or whatever. It's not like that. Uh, Whenever it is set, of course, yes, there are certain rituals that are done midnightish. Uh, but then not all. Okay, let's say, for example, if somebody comes to me, and this is my favorite. Okay, if people come to me and often say, can you bring my ex back, my immediate statement to that is that, bring your ex back, darling. That person is called an ex for a reason. That he's not supposed to come back to you. That's why you're calling him an ex. However, if you consider this, try and look at it the other side of the picture, and understand that I would prefer that if somebody comes to me and says, bring my ex back, I would prefer to open their heart chakra and do a love manifestation ritual for them, so that whoever the right person is comes to their life, right? Rather than concentrating my energy, my magic, and asking my spirits to work in the favor of this person, and trying to bring a particular person back to that person's life. I would rather work on a broader picture, and work in empowering that person, so that his or her heart chakra is open, and whoever the universe seems is the right kind of a person for you comes back to your life. Now, I would do that. There are a lot of people who do bring my ex ritual. I am not saying that it doesn't work. Of course it works, because, see, Natalia, you have to understand that magic is all these things, the altar and the tools and the herbs and everything. All of these are just aids to my intention. Magic is in my intention. If I set my mind to a particular thing, I will make that happen. That is what I am saying. However, not forgetting that the gods are not like a vending machine that you put in chips and then you draw favor out of them. It doesn't work like that. But we have to understand that there has to be morals, there has to be ethics, you have to draw a line somewhere, and you have to understand that what is the best that you can do for your client. Is bringing the ex back the right thing for him or her, or empowering them and making sure that the right person. So when you're casting a ritual or a spell, whatever you want to call it, I just call it ritual, for this particular person, whoever the right person is will come in in that person's life. If now the ex is the right person and there was some misunderstanding and miscommunication, of course he's going to come back. But if he's not, then they're going to go away. And this is where people get confused into the concept of twin flames and soulmates. And people have to understand that a twin flame is not necessarily your soulmate. A soulmate is somebody that you should end up with. When you end up with a twin flame is when the issue starts.
What is the difference between the twin flame and the soulmate?
See, you and I can have multiple twin flames. When we were in school and we click with a particular friend and you just hit it off instantly. I think that's twin flame.
Achha.
But when you bring love into it, you bring affection into it, you have your soulmate then.
Okay.
So people have to understand that.
I have another question. I have heard that when you approach all these tantrics and all these people, since I have a lot of interest in occult sciences, I was told that they do a pact with the evil spirits, and according to the pact, they, for example, the evil spirits will ask that get me this much alcohol. I'm just giving a hypothetical example, or get me this much, get me these drugs or whatever, and I will do in return this favor for you. So does it work in the same way in voodoo, like these spirits which you call, they ask for some favor in return, and then they say that I will work in such a way for you?
Yes, they do, but definitely not what you are saying. It doesn't work like that. But we have to understand that if you are, even if I'm going to a mandir and I'm asking my God to do something for me, I am still taking some flowers and incense and some stuff, and then I go out and donate things to people. So when people come to me, I ask them to bring certain things, and if because you have religion has it's modernized now. So people don't, somebody sitting in America is not going to come to me and ask me to cast spells for them. Of course, they're going to Skype like you and ask me that, can you do this for me? And then I'll just pay you for the ingredients and everything. So yes, ingredients are there. There are fruits and rice and cake and juices and stuff like that you offer to the deity or to the saint that you are working with. And now what happens to that, all of that food after the ritual is done? You go and feed it to a poor who needs it more than you. That is the reality of voodoo. People don't understand that I'm not here beheading chickens and slaughtering animals and then sprinkling blood all over my altar. That doesn't happen like that, because that used to happen in voodoo in Haiti. But people have to understand the reason behind that was they're going to slaughter the animal, they're going to offer it to the god, and they're going to cook it and then going to eat it later on. And probably that was one decent meal that the entire village got that night. That is the reason why those guys were doing it. It doesn't happen like that. Like, for example, in Kali Puja, I have an option whether I can go to the Panditji and I can tell him that, you can slaughter an animal or I can slaughter a loki. I have that option. You know what I mean? I can offer this or I can offer pan. Similarly, in voodoo also you have this option. If my client is willing to play for a chicken, of course I'll offer a chicken and to the the deity that I'm working with, and then later on I'll cook a nice biryani for myself and I'll eat it. It does. So when all of this is cleared and you speak to somebody who knows what they are doing and everything, all of that, it's less attractive, isn't it, after knowing all of this?
So the question is still a little unanswered when I ask you that voodoo, is it, as movies have shown it to be very, to have a very dark side to it. Say that it has a positive side and a dark side, because when we pray to our Hindu gods or whosoever our religion is, so there is only one way, and that is the good way, because we are sure that the gods won't harm us. In voodoo now, since it has a dark side to it, so does maybe you are not practicing the dark side, but there are other practitioners of voodoo also in the world. Now, a person has to choose a path, like I'm a dark voodoo practitioner or I'm a white, I'm a good one, I'll say, not a white one, but rather a good voodoo practitioner.
Yeah, blended good witch.
Yeah, the good witch and the bad witch. So I'll put it a good voodoo practitioner. So these are choices the voodoo practitioner makes, or what is it exactly? And how can it have you are saying that it is not what the movies show. So how can it have a dark side to it?
It has. Okay, let me ask you this. Which god or which goddess or which pantheon does not have a dark side? So are we saying that Hinduism does not have a dark side? Are we saying that we don't have dark goddesses? That's not true. Everybody has a good witch or a bad witch in them, within them, and even the gods and goddesses are like that. We have Shiva the Destroyer, and then we have other gods and goddesses also. I'm really not familiar with the Hindu pantheon, so I wouldn't comment. But then I'm just stating an example. Similarly, in voodoo also, there are a lot of spirits. Some are good, some are not. Sometimes you have to work with the good people, sometimes you have to work with the bad ones. It's the choice that the practitioner makes, what you want to do, how you want to approach an issue.
And so these spirits which you evoke and you call, can they ever harm you also?
Why would they? Why would a god harm me?
No, it's a question which I am asking. Like, for example, as you said that if you are doing something bad, the karma reflects back. But in that karma, are the spirits harming? Or is it still a thing which we think karma is reflecting?
We already have a concept of karma. Okay, that is a very Indian created concept, okay, or whatever it is. So voodoo does not really believe in karma. So with that out of the question, it's basically is the judgment of the practitioner how he wants to approach a particular problem. Um, you know. So I'm sorry, what was your question? I had multiple trail of thoughts.
Question is, can these spirits harm the practitioner in any way? Like, for example, if I come to you and if I ask you for something which is not good, so can that spirit harm you if you evoke the devils? Do you evoke devils? Now, another question. Do you evoke devils?
No, devil is a Christianity created concept. We don't really believe in the devil. I think a rapist is a devil. A murderer is the devil. So I don't really have a devil that I can evoke. If I don't believe in something, then how can I invoke it? So there is that, devil is out of the question. But can the spirits come back and harm me? No. Why will my ancestor come and harm me? So when a particular person comes to me and asks me for a ritual or a prayer service, I will work with my ancestors so that I can bring about a change in the other person's life. Sometimes I will ask my ancestors to probably telephone the other person's ancestor and try to chalk out a plan for that individual. But will these ancestors come and harm me? No, they won't.
Sir, why voodoo and why not a normal religion? Is it a religion which you have opted for? Like we have Hinduism, Christianity, so voodoo is a religion which you have opted for, or why not other religions and why should one practice voodoo?
Well, I was born and raised in Christianity, so I already had my roots there, and I was a priest at one point of time. So I know I know how the religion works, and I had a lot of unanswered questions, and I got my answers in voodoo. And like everybody, the term voodoo is very fascinating, but when you take the makeup off, you realize it's not that fascinating. It's just a way of life. It's choices that you make. So I think I made that choice, and it's a beautiful, beautiful religion because it really believes in harming nobody. It's very how do I say it? It's a very intrusive religion. It's not out there. You wouldn't have a lot of practitioners will not be happy with the idea of me coming out and talking about it because we don't really share a lot of things about voodoo out there in the market for everybody, but it's very secretive. But then are there dark side of the voodoo? Of course there is a dark side of every religion, isn't it? So similarly, voodoo also has a dark side of it, and it definitely depends on the practitioner what they do.
So why is it so secretive?
Because the practices are handed down from generation to generation. If I am teaching my students a particular way to call or petition a saint, the other voodoo house will have a different method of petitioning that particular saint. So that's why I say it is secretive.
So who does the saint listen to? I mean, you may, or he listens to everyone then.
Bhagwan sabki sunta hai, isn't it?
Okay. Sir, it was wonderful talking to you, and it is a very, very intriguing subject where the conversation can go on and on. But I have my time limit over here. So it was really, really great talking to you. And as you said, that voodoo really does not harm, and it's just a religious practice. And with that doll and everything, and with the pins, so it's not that bad as shown in movies.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me because we really, really need this kind of a platform, especially in the times that we are in. We have to go out there, people like you and me, we have to go out there and give hope to people, because if we lose hope, we lose everything. Whatever is happening in the world, I'm not saying that it's the end of the world, but then it certainly is an end of an era. People need to realize that Mother Nature has really slapped the shit out of human beings and told them that you need to take the back seat and let me take the driving seat for a while. See, I mean, it's like a zoo, isn't it? We are inside the cages and the animals are out. The other day, I was standing on my terrace, and I saw deer and peacocks and this thing, because I live near a forest. So anyway, and I was so fascinated, and I said that finally, Mother Earth is letting loose. So I thank you really, really from the bottom of my heart, because this particular clip is going to be it's going to prove educational for a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to understand that voodoo is not bad. It is not as scary as it is sort of to be. But does it get your work done? Of course it does.
Okay. One more thing which has just popped up in my mind: can voodoo predict the future happenings in any of its symbols, signs? Which does it have symbols and sign, and can it predict the future happenings?
Just like any other religion, there are ways and divination methods in voodoo as well. We do a lot of Kori readings. So, see, we have to understand that it's very similar to the Hindu pantheon. And I think, I may be wrong, but I think the reason behind that is that India originally was a part of the great African continent, wasn't it? So we broke away, and then we came to the Asiatic region and whatever, and then we got stuck to it, and then our practices changed. But then, is it similar? Is there a similarity between the Hindu pantheon and voodoo? There are lots. The rituals are same, the havans and everything. All of it is very, very same. So yeah, that's it.
So thank you so much, and really obliged, sir, for the interview. Thank you so much. So take care.
Thank you very much for having me. God bless you. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir. Bye. So, guys, I was in conversation with Mr. Anuj Elvis. I hope today's conversation did break those opinions which we have already formed in our mind about voodoo. Voodoo means black magic. This is the first thing which comes to our mind, but I'm sure after today you won't say that. So yes, do share your views and comments with me. You have any questions, my email address is given below. And yes, do tune in. You know, I post in videos 4 times a week. The days are Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday and Sunday. The time is 7:30 p.m. and you know that. And yes, don't forget to subscribe. It is wonderful if you come along in this journey with me, and you know what you need to do. Be safe. Take care of yourself, and see you soon. Bye.